Do you dream about launching your own business? Are you working hard in your career but don't feel you have the skills to reach the next level? Do you need something which works around your busy schedule? We're here to tell you that you can have it all. Find out more about the Roadmap Alternative MBA at www.roadmapmba.com, including free worldwide shipping and our 30-day full money-back guarantee. We care about equal access to education. We care about building a better world. Our mission is making business education accessible. Join us.
Hi guys, hello and good morning. It is Friday the 26th of August 2022. My name is Steve Pugh and every Friday morning I do a bit of a live stream. Although I must admit, with a few things going on recently, I had different client stuff I haven't done for a few weeks actually, so it's a bit of a kind of getting back into the swing of things. But what I like to do is a bit of a business strategy live stream where we talk about interesting stuff from this week that might really help you in your business or career. I pick out stuff which might be relevant and share some kind of tips and hints and tricks and stuff which might really help your business. And all of these also get clipped up and go onto YouTube as well. So even if you don't manage to catch this kind of live, you can either kind of watch the catch up on LinkedIn and a few of the other kind of platforms. But also, if you're ever interested, we've got a Roadmap MBA YouTube channel as well. So one of the things that I like to do, I tend to pick out three main concepts that I will talk through for the week. I use the whiteboard and kind of just go through different kind of stuff. I'll talk about some of the progress and stuff that I've made in my own business this week. That one of the big things that a lot of people deal with is how it can be quite lonely when you kind of do your own thing, even if you've got a team. Essentially, if you're the boss and you sit at the top, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So, often as well, people always, especially on Instagram, you see people try and sell the dream, it's get rich quick in 2 weeks. And the truth is that doesn't happen, it doesn't work. So I also share some of the progress and the stuff that I've done, give you a bit of a behind the scenes on the Roadmap MBA, what we do, what I'm doing personally, just to, it's more transparency in kind of the way that I want to kind of do things. And then likewise, also give you some kind of sneak peeks about stuff that's going to come up as well. So kicking off with that one, basically this week, what did we do? So last night, actually, we recently started the Safe Space podcast, which was a request from you, I guess, as the audience, to really do more mental health related content. So what we did, and we've done 3 now, so we did Simon Bourne, Steve Ware, and then Alex Wright, basically last night. And what we do is that we allow people a space to kind of share their story, share what worked for them, but in a fairly kind of raw, open and honest format that for me, I'm genuinely interested in the topic, that actually it's a way to communicate and talk on different things that hopefully will help some people, especially in the next kind of 6, 12, 24 months, if it's going to get a little bit tougher with a potential recession and stuff as well. I think it's a really good time to do it. And the truth is, I actually just enjoy doing it as well. So hopefully you kind of enjoy those. We announced this week that Tony is going to join the team. So with the roadmap, yes, it's my business and yes, it's my baby, but it is genuinely about trying to build a better community, trying to link in with really great presenters who have complete reign to talk about whatever they wish in terms of business, careers, culture, being a woman, anything you want. They can say whatever they want, it's theirs. The Ashley King joined us about 2-3 months ago now, smashed it, and she really kind of does a great job, because it's harder than it looks to kind of do this, to kind of just talk to camera. And basically Tony is going to join us in September. He was top of his class from Newcastle University Business School about 2 years ago. Got a really great kind of banking career, and so he's going to do 1 show a month to kind of start with. But it's that kind of thing of just trying to find really good, talented, articulate people that can share the stories and the knowledge and the experience of different backgrounds and cultures and careers and stuff. And that's essentially what I'm trying to build. And, if you want to think of it a different way, that yes, we're really at the start of our kind of journey, and, I'm about 1.5 years kind of into it. But part of the dream is to create what I class as the Peloton of business education. So on Peloton, it's a fitness app and piece of kit that's like a home exercise equipment. But actually you can go on, you can choose your instructors, you can choose when you want to learn, when you want to do it, and who you want to learn from. And that's part of the dream that I'm really trying to build. So although inherently it's always going to be the guy that sets it up that has to kick it all off and do stuff, eventually it won't always be me as well. But then likewise, because it's quite difficult to do these things, I was trying to lead from the front and keep there's always the incentive to kind of not do this and not turn up, and you've got other stuff, but I just think it's important. It was a commitment that I made to myself to really kind of, when I can, do these and just share some kind of knowledge from the week. One of the other things that you might also be able to track now is on Instagram. We should be working. Yes, we are. It's one of the classic things that whenever you do broadcast for live streams and stuff, you have to set up your broadcast so that it's generally a landscape window, so it's a wide window like you see on your TV. But when you want to broadcast to mobile devices, particularly those in portrait orientation, which is what Instagram wants, I had to set up a whole new machine just to run that, which is what I have now. But it's all a little kind of learning curves and the stuff that I wanted to do to help improve the business. And on any of the platforms, if you get in touch or write a comment, I should hopefully be able to see it and respond, which I really kind of appreciate with as well. Last but not least, my new website is coming along quite well. That it's been months and months and months in the making, but actually I promise it's worth it. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. And that will play a really big part in making business education accessible to 5 billion people. That currently, when I send out the book, which is in 33 different countries to people around the world, it's really expensive and it takes a long time. And it's not the most efficient way to do it. But likewise, when the new site's up, you're going to have all the content from the book, pre-recorded videos on every concept, and all of that is going to be completely free, no ads, nothing. And then the paid options will link into it's the 4 live classroom sessions a week, but we do 8 live sessions generally, which would include this one, which you can join and you can get involved. And actually, with some of the guys that have been coming to the different sessions, we already, we started them last week. We've made massive progress as well. You're more than welcome to join any of those realistically in the next kind of year, 2 years. I'm happy to have them open and free just to kind of, get people using it and getting good testimonials and reviews and that kind of thing. And also the reason I kind of do this is because I actually enjoy doing it and I really want to help people, that I know it works. I know it's really kind of good stuff. And the whole point of the Roadmap MBA is that we give you the complete roadmap start to finish to help you grow your business or career. So I'd never seen before, and you can go into any bookstore, Amazon, anything, in one place, everything from your goals, ambitions, the things that you want to do, all the way through from basically personal skills to business strategy, marketing management, leadership, sales, finance, etc. in one place, in a really kind of nice, snazzy, easy to read book, which you can pick up for 2 minutes or 2 hours. But the idea is it's accessible, it's all kind of there. And last but not least as well, relating to that, I've been doing a lot of work recently on something called web accessibility. That when you have a mission like we do, which is to make business education accessible to 5 billion people, cost is the main one, but you also have time, where basically people don't have time to give up work and do a full-time degree course, or you're just busy working around your busy life or whichever, that you just want things that you can kind of dip in and out to. The complexity of topics is also really important. That likewise, if you pick up a business strategy textbook, it's 700 pages of really dense graphs and stuff. That one of the things that we try and do is really kind of simplify that down and give you the best bits, all of the stuff that you actually need to know. But if it can be done in one page, we do it. And what we've essentially done is kind of do that across the whole gambit of running a business, growing a business, or to add more value kind of in your career. And web accessibility plays a major part in that as well, because not everyone uses computers in the same way. Some people can't use a mouse, some people are blind, some people are deaf. So actually I've been really working hard on the future content so that, we're aiming towards being fully web accessible, that we won't be perfect from day one, but it is a genuine ambition of what we want to do as well. So if you get involved in the comments, I love it when people kind of say hello. I love to know where in the world you're from. And yes, based on that, I'm going to kind of jump in as well. Hi, Paul, if you've just tuned on Instagram as well. So first one. So this week in the UK, we've had exam results for GCSEs. So that's our kind of 16-year-old level qualification here. And last week, or was it the week before, we also had the A-levels, which is the kind of next level up, 16 to 18. And there are other things as well. But actually my cousin's son, Jamie, got his GCSEs yesterday. And what's really funny, because I remember back, is that especially as a, when you're at school, you worry so much about what grades you're going to get. What does that mean for your career? The whole thing, it's almost life or death, depending on if you get 10 A's or 1A or 1C or 1D or nothing or whichever. And it's funny that when you go through school, you're almost taught that that is the be all and end all of everything. And what's quite funny is that someone that's been through that journey, and I've been to university multiple times and I have multiple degrees and that kind of thing, I promise you, I'm not going to say they don't matter, but actually they kind of don't matter in some ways. The most important thing for your life and your career is to be happy and healthy and find something that you genuinely love to do. Yes, it's important for certain jobs. If you want to get into medicine, law, certain types of engineering, and a few other bits, it does help to have a degree. Even with law now, there's different apprenticeship type schemes to get into that, even if you didn't go to law school. But the point is, if you want to be a cook, or you want to be a golfer, or you want to do business, at 16 or at 10 or at 65, you can set up and just start hustling and start selling pens or doing live streams or being a gamer or whatever you want, whenever you want. And actually the important thing is the passion and the drive and the stuff that sits behind it, not the piece of paper. And what's quite funny now is that when you've kind of been through the whole kind of process at university, they often tell you that you really want to get a 2-1 and get some good extracurricular stuff and whatever. And whilst that kind of is true, as someone that hires people, and I do this for other companies as well, it's more important to get a feel for them. Do I like them? Do I like the way that they communicate? Do I trust them? Do I think they have relevant experience? And that experience does not have to come from a university. And being brutally honest, the best experiences don't come from a university. That being said, when I did my engineering undergrad in mechanical engineering, I loved it. It was really technical. It gave me a brilliant platform that since then I've been able to build on and build up, hopefully, a really kind of good career. So it gave me a massive step up. But the truth is you don't have to. So that if you got maybe news that you weren't quite happy with yesterday or 2 weeks ago, and you're trying to figure out about, do you go to uni, do you not go to uni, do you go to A-levels, what A-levels do you pick? In some ways, just take the pressure off. It's not that bad. That the really important thing is just to have a really good feel for what do you want to do with your life, what do you love doing. And again, this can change over time. So you might want to be a writer, you might want to be a journalist, you might want to do whatever, an artist. None of those require a degree. It's just talent. It's, exposing yourself to really kind of good materials that inspire you. But you can do that from anywhere. And it was just something that I wanted to throw my kind of 2 pence in the ring as well. If you catch this on YouTube or LinkedIn or anything, please feel free to get in touch. How did you get on back in the day? Did it hold back your career? And the other flip side as well is that most of the business owners that I know and work with didn't go to uni. And it's always funny that after you've spent all this time and effort and money on your education, you can actually get trapped in a career working for someone else, because it's a safer bet, it's an easier thing. Because we're actually, if you really want to be a business owner, you don't have to go and do a business degree. You can just learn the skills, get on and do it, and kind of run with it that way. So it's just something I wanted to do a short segment on as well. But if you have any comments on Instagram or any of the platforms, please feel free to get in touch. Okay. I'm actually quite relieved because I switched to these new pens because actually you couldn't really read them. The ones that I used to use, which were like much kind of skinnier ones. And I was worried because they stink, but also they're really strong, that I was worried it was going to go through the page, and I'm delighted it didn't, because that's the first time I've ever actually kind of used them. Okay, so next I'm actually going to go into a point, and it's about it's about how to constantly and basically create content. So I actually started to do video, was it when I was at uni? So like 10, 15 years ago. I think YouTube was actually new then, but I've been doing it for a long time. And actually on my YouTube channel, I'm approaching 1,000 videos, which I'll probably hit before October. But what's really interesting is that you have, I think it's no great secret that actually creating content and doing live streams and podcasts and whatever is helpful for your business to raise profile, get across your personality, your knowledge and stuff on the topic. And I think people kind of get that. The challenge often is, how do you do it in a way that before you get into the swing of things, it's so much effort to create one piece of content, to create one video. And it is, I'll give you that. But actually, when you get set up and you have the proper processes and stuff in place, it gets mega, mega easy. And one of the things I knew when I was looking to build a business is that nowadays, no matter if you're Paul Chan and you lay kind of flooring, or you have a cupcake business or whichever, the ability to actually utilize this free medium in many ways can do massive, massive things. That part of the reason with the roadmap, we're in 33 different countries now, is because people have found us in Norway and Ghana and Costa Rica and China, that if I didn't do any of this, they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't find it. And also as well, consistency is really important. That when you do one post once, you might get some people kind of see or learn something about you, but the trick is, and the hard bit is to do it every week, week after week, you know. And what happens over time is that you really get to know people. And one of the big things that I talk to a lot of people about as well, I spoke to Alex Wright about it last night on the podcast, is that often people don't interact. So they might actually watch the content, they might flick it on, they might have it in the background. But if they see that you're doing it, you're still actually getting exposure there, which adds value to who you are and what you're trying to do, even if they don't really kind of watch it. And if you can, you know, produce really good visuals and audio and stuff, what it does, it reflects really well on your product or, you know, service, so that at the right time, if they're ready to buy, the hope is that they at least kind of think of you. And actually, just a quick shout out to, I follow guys called Wonder Films based out of Middlesbrough, and they do a podcast series called the Beat the Scroll kind of podcast. And what's really interesting, I watch that every week when they post about it, and they have different kind of guests. But the common theme is Chloe, so Chloe Clover that presents that show. I learn a little bit more about her every week. That actually, when she shares personal stories and stuff to really kind of, you know, talk to the guests, I really like it. That although I haven't hired them yet, I'm not opposed to doing it in the future, but actually seeing other people's content really kind of works. And then likewise, funnily enough, I've since had conversations with people that Chloe has interviewed, who I've spoke to about giving business to. And the point is, it's when you get to share your visions, your values, your mannerisms, your tone of voice, and actually just consistently show up, it does build trust. And I've kind of won contracts off the back of it as well, but I know it is kind of difficult to do. So how can you do that? How do you actually kind of make it easy? The first one is about processes and setup. So the biggest challenge genuinely when you kind of do this is that if you want to film some content, it's to find where you want to film that has either good natural light, which is best, but also good sound where you're not going to get buses in the background or someone cutting the grass or whatever, because that's a nightmare as well. Then you have to go and set up the tripod, set up the lights, check the audio. Will it work okay? Is the person comfortable? What's in shot? How are you going to edit it? And that's a pain in the arse to do. It just is. One of the things that I really found, and the reason why I always wanted to create a studio like this, is that when I first set out in the pandemic, I would record from our spare bedroom at home, and every single time I'd set it all up from scratch. I'd set up the lights, do the thing, do the broadcast, whatever, then pack it all down, and then the next week or 2 weeks later, I'd set it all up again. It was a pain in the arse. It was a nightmare. And I always had a dream where actually I wanted to have my own space where actually I could set things up properly, but actually start to invest in systems, processes and stuff, so that now when I do this, other than turn the lights on and do some stuff on OBS, the software that I use, it's kind of ready. But it's also ready in a way that all the lights are in the perfect place. I have all the sound deadening and stuff, so that hopefully the quality is quite good. All my setups and tickers and all the graphics and stuff that you can see are all pre-done. That's often the hardest bit to kind of set up. But once you've done it once, and if you have a space where you can leave your camera set up so that you just go and turn it on next time, it's so much easier to kind of do. And it was just something that I wanted to kind of, you know, talk about. So yesterday I had a podcast, and it was to do mental health. And what was really interesting was that when I put the post out originally to ask for guests to talk on that kind of topic, a lot of people applied, which was fantastic. But what I was able to do was use the same setup that I use on a Monday. I do actually change some of the lighting so it's a bit more moody, which is just a personal kind of thing, just for that kind of topic. But the point is, it's using the same setup in different ways. So for instance, that when I do the podcast on a Monday, I use exactly the same setup. I just don't turn that light on to do the Thursdays. So I go and I do the live broadcast when I speak to Alex and that kind of thing, which is really useful. But then I also do videos for YouTube where I do tech reviews. So actually yesterday, straight after the interview, I reviewed this. It's called an ND filter, which is something that I use on the camera I have over there. But I didn't actually have to change anything. In OBS, I changed the scene, so I actually removed all of the stuff that you can see, all the graphics. But then I could film it, and I did 2 takes yesterday where I just talked for 2 minutes on the product, what I thought about it, how much it was it any good, whatever. But all of these things, you create lots of different content that then they all get clipped up, they all become their own kind of video. But it's ways to use that and really kind of make it work. And then when I do this, so this video in itself will become 3 or 4 different separate videos which go onto YouTube. And the beauty again of doing it live is although it's more pressure to present, I don't have to worry about edits and stuff because it's already kind of gone. And then actually when I put this into Final Cut Pro, I basically just do start finish on the different bits. That's why I use the whiteboard, so I know exactly when the segment started and finished. So really quickly I can just export the clips, upload them, and then actually if you use the same kind of template for your graphics, your thumbnails, the stuff that you did the week before, it's really easy to do. It is a hassle to set up for the first time, but the more you get into the swing of doing those kind of things, I promise you it gets easier. But it's with that consistency that it gradually grows and builds over time. That yesterday I got my first email from Google for my first AdSense paycheck, which is 10 years in the making. But actually it'll be like 20 quid. So it won't be a decent monetary value, but it's just progress that in 5-10 years time, because that's what this kind of journey is for me. Hopefully it might one day become more, but actually it's the kind of thing of doing the setup, doing all the pain once, or in this case twice, because I have 2 different setups, but it's actually in the same room, really kind of helps. So if you want to create consistent content, get a feel for what it is that you want to do. So if you're Alex yesterday and you want to start a mental health podcast, if you know the camera setup, you know what the look and feel is, you want to set it up, yes, do it once and do it properly, but then leave the stuff up, don't take it down. Even if it means you have to buy a second camera to go and do your stuff out and about with, the amount of time it saves almost gives you the encouragement to keep doing stuff. And I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but it was almost where, so my average at the moment is about 10 to 13 videos per week that go onto YouTube. Being honest, that's probably a bit too much, but actually because it's across different podcasts, different guests, different topics, it kind of works for me as well. But if you ever, do you stream, do you game, do you create content? Do you ever struggle to create content? Often the fear, and I even had it this morning, it was a case of, do I broadcast? Do I not? Do I want to do it? I don't want to annoy people. But that kind of second guessing yourself is really important to kind of, fight through that. One of the classic things as well, you see for your business or whatever, you see all the content that you put out. But the truth is your audience doesn't. Your audience will only see a tiny fraction of the stuff that you ever put out. So almost you should never really worry about saying the same thing too much, because chances are people aren't going to see it anyway. But if you stop doing it, I guarantee nobody's going to see it. And that's just the death of business and stuff as well. So it's just that I wanted to kind of talk about. I'd love to know for you, do you love creating content? What do you find easy? What do you struggle with? And almost what works for you? And I'd love to kind of share it with the network as well. Okay. I'm intrigued to see how the big pens are working out, so I'll check out on the screen. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like you can read it, which is quite cool. So last but not least, in terms of the kind of stuff and the topics that I wanted to talk about today. So I probably talk about it quite a lot, but I advertise in something called Freelancer Magazine. I have various different magazines there. I have the Freelancer Magazine mug. And actually, I really love what those guys do. And Sophie and Angela that kind of run that magazine set it up from scratch. Angela, hopefully, will be a guest on the podcast at some point. But one of the things that I was very keen to do is that for a lot of freelancers, so you could be a copywriter, an artist, a management consultant, a DJ, you name it, anyone that kind of works for themselves. It's difficult, it's hard to do that. And often you can be very good at one particular thing. So you might be an expert DJ, but it doesn't mean you've ever been taught how to set up a business, create your strategy so that you're different to everyone else and people book you. How do you do your marketing properly to really connect with an audience? How do you sell to customers? That kind of thing. So one of the reasons, and the reason why I picked Freelancer magazine to be my first kind of paid proper print advertising, and it'll be the 4th issue I've advertised in now. And again, I do double page spreads as well. So actually, you know, I'd go big or go home is my kind of thing. But in our kind of live classroom sessions, we've had some really kind of good breakthroughs on our Tuesday 3 p.m. kind of session. And last week we did basically, it's something called Ikigai. So basically what you're essentially looking to do is that for anyone that runs any business, you ideally want to create something which works around your passions. It's something that you love to do, but actually also pays your bills. So for me, I love using my brain. I love trying to outthink the competition, and that's that side to it. But I also love tech. I love lighting. I love talking to people. So I've kind of built a business around that, and it's got a really big community mission, which to me is really important. But you could love swimming and you want to create a business around that. And what you would essentially do is look at how do we do that? So one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about is that as a freelancer, you often have a passion for a topic, and that's what you want to build your business around and life around, which is fantastic. But the truth is as well, not everyone always makes as much money as you hoped. And it's that balance of, you know, at what point do you give up and get a job again? And it's stuff like that. It's a lot of really kind of nuance to it. So one of the things that we really wanted to look at, and we covered on the live sessions on Tuesday, was going through the Ikigai process, but actually starting to think through things that you could do no matter what your business is to help diversify and grow. And I promise you it works. It was something that I wanted to talk about, which is ways to diversify revenue. So in this instance, I'm going to talk about freelancers, but it's essentially, it could be anything. And just give you a super quick run through of the Ikigai kind of process, but also some of the learnings and stuff that came out this week. So the first one, and this is arguably the most important one, what do you actually kind of love doing? There's no point building a business around something that you're not passionate about and you don't love doing, because I promise you it's so much harder than you think it's going to be. That if you love photography, that's fantastic, but you have to pick something that you really love to do. And then when you go on to create content and talk to people and, you know, interact with people, people can tell if you actually care about the product or not. I love doing this. I love working with people, so that's kind of my thing. But it's also really important. But say if you're a copywriter and you love writing, really kind of, you know, what we can do is build a business around that, but really identify the different revenue streams. So next, after you've really kind of listed all of the things that you love doing, as a person as well, especially, list everything that you love to do. So I love to play basketball. I like to run. I love playing on the Xbox. And it's just almost anything that you kind of think of, get it all down. Next is, what does the world need? Because likewise, it doesn't matter if I want to play on the Xbox all day and be a streamer. If I'm not very good at it, but likewise nobody wants to pay me to do it, then it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't be a business. And it's the, kind of the crucial bit that unfortunately, it doesn't matter if you want to do a meditation retreat for professionals that all pay £1 million a year, if there aren't any customers for it. So that's a really important thing just to kind of consider and keep at the back of your mind. Relating to that, what will people actually pay for? Because you might love chocolate and you might love tea, so you think, well, I'll make a chocolate teapot. But actually, does the world need one of those? Probably not, because it won't work. And would they pay for it? Maybe actually, as a novelty kind of thing. But if you are a copywriter, it's always the classic thing again of actually, what do you charge? What will people pay for? And how do you kind of communicate that into a product offering which people will pay you kind of money for? And last but not least, what are you good at? Because likewise, I'm a terrible singer. I am the worst singer you'll ever meet. If I wanted to become a professional singer or to act on the stage of Broadway, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how much time and effort or how many books that I read. You really have to find all of these different things to really kind of look at it. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about is just some of the learnings that we had this week on Tuesday, just as a great example for how this kind of stuff works. So David, who was on the session, basically he's a copywriter and he's a very, very good one. But in terms of things that he loves, he also loves storytelling. He loves working in the community. He likes using his imagination. He's also an ultra runner. And we listed out these whole huge kind of list of things that really what we can do is start to kind of list areas that he can start to communicate and work on to really almost build a brand around is either running writer or whichever. But the point is it's really important to kind of get these things down. Next, what does the world need? That if you are a copywriter, people need copy for websites. There could be loads of different stuff. You could have a story, you could have a blog. You could want to write an advertisement, the script, right? There's 100 million different things that you could kind of do. But one of the things that I wanted to do, and I try and do on the live kind of sessions, is add value from an outside point of view. And one of the big things that's really important with strategy is to really identify new trends and things that people actually might want to need or pay for that you can help with. So Alex Wright, who was on the podcast yesterday, he built his business around helping companies almost embrace mental health in a sensitive, cool way that kind of works. As that becomes more and more important in the workplace, employers kind of know that they need to do something around it. So there's an angle there for him to get in. One of the things that I discussed with David on the session, I do a lot of stuff with investors and bigger kind of companies, and there's something called ESG, which is your environmental and social kind of governance. It's a really big thing that if you want to win a tender in renewables, or you're trying to get into a clean tech business, or even if you're trying to raise money on the stock market, investors are genuinely interested in your ESG policy. What do you do? How does it work? How do you work in the community? How do you reduce your consumption and stuff? The point being, there's a need there that the industry kind of wants and is willing to pay for. And actually someone like a copywriter could be perfect to go into businesses to help them write their ESG policy and actually build it into their branding. But the other side to it as well, a copywriter has to use their imagination often to kind of create a story around the blog or the business, that whatever they want to do. And I made the point, well, actually, why not go into advertising? Advertising is often, it's the next level of storytelling. And what we started to do was actually spiderweb out ways that you could grow and diversify your business. But actually it's all still based on what you love doing, which is storytelling and working with businesses and really kind of using your skills and talents and assets. But the point is, with the kind of whole Ikigai process, you can hopefully, touch some wood, over time build a business that's profitable, that works, you love doing it, gets you excited every day, and that you can gradually build. But it often takes time to really look at that and also embrace the process fully, that if you want to bake cakes and that's what your passion is, don't discount straight away the fact that people, yes, you want to buy a cake, and if you're lucky, you might buy a special cake once a month for a birthday for someone or whichever. But every single day people buy lunch. So actually with your same bakery skills, could you also do special lunches or lunches that are gluten-free or a particular thing? And it's through looking at that and what does the customer want, need and buy. But you can still live your passion to make the world's best cakes, but actually you have to make sure that you've got enough revenue coming in to really kind of make the business work. Does that make sense? So if you kind of catch this up afterwards, please kind of like and subscribe on YouTube and stuff as well. My name's Steve Pugh. I do a lot of business and entrepreneurship and that kind of thing. My day job actually is as a management consultant. So I do this for real companies. I don't just do YouTube. This is just a way for me to kind of do my marketing and kind of promotion. But I'd love it if you like, subscribe and follow as well. So at, what are we on, 9:28, I am going to kind of call it quits there today. I'm genuinely really excited about the next kind of 6-12 months of the business, especially when the new kind of app and website becomes live. The one that we currently have, I built myself on Wix, so it's not bad, but it's not great. But I think hopefully you'll see just to start to kind of accelerate and grow. We've got some really great guests coming up on the podcast, so please kind of check that out as well. If I don't see you, have a wonderful weekend. There's no podcast on Monday because it's a bank holiday here in the UK, so I won't be here. And then, yeah, just keep working away, keep working on your dreams. Don't give up. If I can ever help, please kind of feel free to get in touch. And then likewise, if you ever want a free course, I will happily send you a book anywhere in the world to really just help you grow your business or career and help kind of make that next step that I'm on this journey too. Today, no comments, but it is what it is. That's just part of the journey. It's part of me getting my reps in, getting my practice in. That's cool. And you will hopefully see me again next week. So have a great weekend, and yeah, I was going to say stay safe, but it was a bit cheesy. But yeah, see you soon. All right, cheers guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.